Hello, BookTube, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. I'm still working on these 4 books here. Well, I know I say this every week, but it's time to say it again. It's late. It's past my bedtime over here. I'm tired, so I'm going to just try to do this very quickly. And I think this should work out because actually I don't really have a lot to say. Journey to the West, I've read only 8 pages this week, and I'm still in the middle of the same story. So I won't say anything about it this week. Come back once I finish this episode and maybe summarize the whole episode. This past week, I got out from the library and read and finished Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Ugly Truth. Now, I'm changing my accounting procedures a little bit. Last year, I read a couple Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, which I counted as books. Because, they do kind of look like books, don't they? They've got text, illustrated books, but books. But I've decided that the reading, as much as it kind of looks like a book, the reading experience is essentially like a comic book. And my brain processes it as a comic book. It's such light reading. So I'm moving this over to the comic book category, which means the page counts do not count towards my weekly page count, even though last year that's not how I did it. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about this one because I already made a video already reviewing this, and I'll link to that in the description down below. How to teach listening, I just read 1 page on this. I made virtually no progress, so nothing really to talk about. I did, however, finish up the Linguistics Wars. Now, I was on page 392 last time, and I finished up through page 421, so, about 30 pages. But a very interesting 30 pages, summing up Chomsky's legacy. Talks about Chomsky's relationship with the truth and how he tends to misrepresent things and distort things. And the author floats a couple different explanations that people have put through for that, but ultimately comes down on the side of thinking that Chomsky's involved in a little bit of self-deception, where he really does think he's the only one understanding everything, and nobody else is. I think I know I've mentioned this before. Chomsky was my hero based on his political work for a good 20 years. My 20s and my 30s. I'm over it now. And I was over it even before I read this book. Largely just because I think hero worship is a young man's game. As you grow older, at a certain point, you fall out of that adoration of heroes, and you begin to realize that it's just a very flawed world, and everybody is deeply flawed. Yeah, if I hadn't already been in that space, I think this information about how Chomsky misrepresents everything would have been challenging for me to read. As it was though, I'm in a space now where I'm okay with it. But very interesting. And then it talks about Chomsky's legacy and what that will be. If some of his ideas will live on and he'll become like Newton or Copernicus or Galileo, or if he'll be his ideas will be laughed out. And the guy he talks about is Gall, Gall, whose name I didn't recognize, but I guess he's the guy who came up with the theory of phrenology. Like the bumps in your head can tell your intelligence or your personality. And he mentioned that as much as that's laughed at nowadays, that at one time was a very serious science. And then the whole theory just got dismissed and is now a punchline. So thinking, maybe Chomsky's ideas of universal grammar will become that. And bats it back and forth a little bit, the pros and cons of each assertion or each prediction. But then comes down, I think, on the side of saying, there's a good chance, don't count Chomsky out. He may well be the, how does the author phrase this again? Sorry, he put it better than I could. Nope. Is Chomsky Copernicus or Gall? Gall or Copernicus? Who knows? The future is not here yet. But I wouldn't bet against Copernicus. I wouldn't bet against Chomsky. And then that's the end of the book. So now that I've finished this one, this is my next to-do list is to review this book. Under my sort of new system, I'm trying to review stuff immediately after finishing it rather than wait until the perfect time, because I'm at a point in my life where I never have time anyways. So I'm going to try and get around to this one tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little bit worried that I'm not going to have time tomorrow. I'm going to be too sleepy tomorrow. But that'll be the goal. And if not tomorrow, then I guess the day after tomorrow. But definitely within the next couple days. So watch out for that one. And yeah, that's a wrap. I'm going to call it here.